try and squeeze in a few more. Now, 29-year-old renowned marine biologist Loyiso Dunga from Khayelitsha has dedicated his life to rescuing the Great African Kelp Forest. As part of his activism and enthusiasm to help save the planet, Loyiso can be seen in the recently released global series Free Range Humans, Nature in Calling by Corona Studios as one of 6 international eco-activist cast members. Let's now take this conversation further and welcome on Zoom Loyiso Dunga. Loyiso, a very good morning to you. Let's start with you telling us a bit about your marine biology career and why you decided to embark on this path.
Good morning, Sis Lebo. Thank you so much for having me here. The ocean is a beautiful place to be in. It's a place I never intended to have a career in, but somehow I found myself enchanted. I found myself almost like trapped. There was something much more that compelled me to stay in the space. And when I saw these magnificent kelp forests, I never have imagined that underwater you find a forest. So you can imagine the surprise, but also the desire to know more. And yeah, hopefully to share the journey and to share the experience, because I know for the fact that I'm not the only one who recently discovered such a beautiful place. So this is how everything started for me.
Now speak to us about your efforts to save the planet and the oceans.
I feel like we are connected to the planet. We are connected to the oceans. The crisis that the planet faces is like choking ourselves. So this is goes back to the notion of Ubuntu. I think it's humanity. It's what we should be doing. It's a natural instinct for me. In order for me to survive, in order for us to survive, we all have to play a small role in taking care of our environment, in taking care of our oceans. This is much more intense when we look at the ocean, because the ocean, we are connected to the ocean in many ways. Culturally, we are connected to the oceans. Our ancestors dwell in the ocean. The ocean takes care of us. We breathe oxygen because of the ocean. So it's literally like cleaning your kitchen because you know you're going to have to make the next meal.
Now, for someone who may not be aware of the kelp forests, briefly give us a bit of background about it.
Yeah, that's my favorite question. Thank you for asking. Kelps are large plants that occur in the ocean. They have a root-like system. It functions different from what a root does for plants on land, whereby it absorbs nutrients from the soil. For kelps, the holdfast helps them to stay fast on a rock or any hard surface. They have a long stipe, which is similar to a stem of a tree. They use this to, it's flexible, number one. So when you look at kelps, you see them dancing to the waves. But they also use this to keep them upright, and they have what is likened to leaves, which are fronds, that is always on the surface, and they also use fronds to absorb CO2 from the surrounding waters and also from the atmosphere. So they need CO2 and sunlight to make food for them to grow. They photosynthesize, and then in turn, they burp out this oxygen that we need. So yeah, it's literally a forest, but under a big blue blanket.
Yeah. Now unpack for us, the important role the kelp forest plays in our ecosystem.
Okay, number one, I always say, let's please take a deep breath right now.
Right.
We have the kelp forest to thank for this.
Okay.
As I mentioned, they burp out all of this of this oxygen. It's a byproduct for them, so they don't need it, but we depend on it. So that's one incredible and critical service they play. They are a home within a home. So you find a myriad of marine species that stay in the kelp forest for shelter and also for food. They are quite dense, like any forest. It makes it difficult for predators to find juvenile fish within kelp forest. So it's a safe space. So they protect other animals. And also many animals that stay in the kelp forest eat kelp. So I often use this example also. Imagine staying in this fancy place, and when you are hungry, you just munch the walls. So that's one core other service they play. But because they grow incredibly fast, they also help us to combat climate change because they reduce the amount of CO2 in our atmosphere. I call them coastal guards because they also dampen the force of waves, and then they prevent soil erosion, which would destroy all our developments along the coast. We fish, some of the fish that we eat grows in the kelp forest, hides in the kelp forest. So we are also have kelp forests to thank for the food that we have in our tables. The services are many, Sisi. I can go on and on.
You are very passionate. I mean, let's get into your episode of the current episode that we've just spoke about, the free range. Tell us a little bit about that and how that's going.
Okay, so Free Range Humans is a series that is commissioned by Corona Studios. Corona is a brand born in the beach. And what they do, they identify incredible stories that connect us back to nature, back to the environment. And they provided this platform in this series for us to share our passion and also to, as a plea for us to take a step back and realize that the city lights are not everything that we need. We need to be connected to our environment, because it's only when we are connected we will be able to see when there's problems, and we will be able to be there to help Mother Nature.
Now, for ordinary people watching today, what can they do to help save the planet?
I will go back to the roots, Sisi. I think the notion of Ubuntu is core. My grandfather said to me during this series, actually, he said to me, we are taking the notion of Ubuntu, or we are looking at it from the surface only, whereby there is, it's much, much deeper. Because when you understand and when you are connected, when you embody this notion, you show it by how you interact with the environment. So to be kind to one another, but goes way deeper, to be kind to the environment, to think sustainability, to think if I leave something that is degrading the environment here, tomorrow I'm going to lose that environment. So it goes way, way deeper. It speaks to us thinking about, for an example, when you buy a plastic, thinking about the full journey of that plastic. It ends up in the ocean, number one. It chokes turtles, it chokes seals, it chokes the lungs of our planet. So that always has a ripple effect that comes back to us. So it's really being in harmony with one another, with our environment. That's the strongest message for me.
All right, Loyiso, thank you so much for talking to us. Good luck in your work. Thank you so much for talking to us, marine biologist Loyiso Dunga. And we've been talking about his quest to help in saving the planet by dedicating his life to rescuing the Great African Kelp Forest. Take a look at this before we take a quick ad break.